What's up, guys? This is yours truly. This is Empress Chaz C. Warmington, aka All That Chaz, aka Lippy Slayer. Thank you all for watching my video. If you have not subscribed to me yet on my YouTube, please go ahead and hit the subscription button. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you do not like the video, please do not give me a thumbs down. Just message me and let me know what it is that you did not like about the video, and share your opinions and what you think I should do, how I can improve, or if there was anything you felt was offensive or inappropriate or incorrect, just let me know. But before you do that, just remember, these videos are mostly that I do are mainly by my own opinion about things, my feelings about things. And remember, we all have our own feelings and point of views about things. So please don't take anything personal if there's anything that is stated in my videos about certain things, because it's not a direct hit to anyone or their character or anything like that. It's just general talking and things things that I discuss, or I have different ideas, things just come to my mind, so I just talk about different random things. It's never a personal attack on anybody or their character. So, but anywho, today what I'm going to talk about is risk. Risk. We take risk every single day, from the moment we lay down to the moment we wake up, to the moment we go get dressed, the moment we decide to do anything. There's always a risk involved. Now, granted, a lot of times the risks are not as high in certain things than it is in other things. It's just like you have a higher risk of getting shot if you go into a neighborhood that is very prone for people shooting all the time. You're doing a lot of gang banging activities, and it's a lot of high crime and violence involving gun shootings in that area, and you decide to take your behind over there, then you have a higher risk of becoming a victim of being shot, a shooting victim. Versus if you go to a community that does not have the higher crime or do not have any real crime or history of gun violence, you more than likely you have a much lesser risk of being shot. But either way, it's still a risk, because guns are everywhere. People everywhere with guns these days. So, there's different risk factors and levels to it. So, but I wanted to really talk to you all about risk when it comes to relationships. I did this on YouTube, on my Facebook Live. The first thing is going to be risk in relationships, whether it's personal, intimate, business, just relationships in general. And another risk is when it comes to entrepreneurship, making life-changing decisions and choices, and the risk that we take when we step out on faith, or we decides to launch on something, on an adventure or our endeavors and our goals and dreams, the risk factors that are involved with those things. So, without further ado, all my babbling before I get to the main topic, right? Let's talk about personal relationship risk. This is a very sensitive subject for me, because all of them are very sensitive topics, but this is one of the most sensitive topics for me, because with relationship risk, what I mean by that is we have different beliefs, and we're raised differently, and we're taught to believe certain things, and to believe a certain way, to think a certain way, to view things certain ways. And normally, a lot of times, we carry that down to our children, and their children carry it to their children, and it just be a generational thing where teachings go from one hand to another. And some of those teachings are very good, but a lot of them are not are not good. And for some reason, families, regardless of race and nationalities, they don't like to talk about those things, because what it does, it changes the complete dynamic of who they are, who they thought they were, who they were raised to be, how they believe, what they was taught to believe. It changes the whole spectrum. So now they have to really learn who they are. And I don't know, for some reason that really intimidates people to really learn who they are, to be independent minded, to have a sense of reality. It seems to intimidate people who have been raised to believe fictions, raised to believe, you know, these little cliche sayings that sounds good, have a nice ringtone to them, but they're not true. You know, it's just like how parents have, I know for me growing up, there would be people in the neighborhood who may be real close to the family or real popular in the neighborhood, and people would just refer to that person in general as an uncle or as an auntie, as a cousin, but they're nowhere related to you in any form or fashion. So, you know, it's like those kind of things that you're raised to believe, even with certain spirituality, religion stuff, you may be raised to believe it. Is sometimes when you grow up, some people, they realize that a lot of things that they were taught and the way they were taught was not true. It was not factual. It was just things that was imposed upon them, and manipulation and control, ways to control, ways to get them to give money, ways for them to be controlled and be brainwashed. And so, you know, there's things that we find out as we get older, and some of us, you know, can push through it and learn better and do better, and know that certain things that we were taught growing up it's not true, it's not real. But then there are certain things you can't. For instance, I would give myself as an example. When I was a little girl, this was the man that was in the household raising me is the man that I believed and was raised to believe was my biological father. I did not know who my biological father was. I really didn't, even though this is the catchy part about it. Okay, this is where the risk factor come in with relationships and personal relationships. I would hear, even through certain family members, this man that I would see periodic, every blue moon. I didn't even see him often, but every blue moon I would see him come into the neighborhood, and they were like, you know that's your dad, right? You know that's your dad. And of course, you know, I'm not believing them, because my dad that I know, I'm living with this man. But what really what took a detrimental turn for me psychologically, what really just, I think at that moment, with everything else that I was dealing with as a child, with the child molestation that I was suffering from, and being raped and stuff as a child, learning that the man who raised me, that I believed is my dad, really and factually was not my biological dad, that devastated me, because he died. The man that I knew as my biological dad, he died, and I was standing there at his bedside when he died, and they had to put him on a machine to hopefully revive him. The machine was breathing for him, so he was comatose, and he was not breathing on his own at all. He was pretty much brain dead, because he had a heart attack and a stroke at the same time, right in front of me, my sibling and my mom. And so we're witnessing this. So for someone to come, you know, when I'm like about, I think I was maybe 13 or 14 years old, to tell me that this man who is literally sitting on the opposite side of the sofa, I'm sitting on one side of the sofa, he's sitting on another side of the sofa, to tell me that this man is my biological dad, and he had no idea who I am, and I didn't know who he was. That was like a really big, you know, slap in the face to me, and I lost complete trust in my family after that. Like, I never ever, still to date, do not trust them. Because, you know, their attitude is still the same with a lot of them. They feel like it's okay. They don't see a problem with it. They feel like, oh, your dad is your dad and your mom is your mom, and da, da, da. You know, they have that kind of attitude, but they don't understand the effect that stuff like that have on a person when they're, you know, when they learn that kind of devastating news. And I was raised in a lie for so long, not just with that, but even with things that I was taught. A lot of stuff that I learned once I became an adult and became of a certain age, that a lot of things that I was taught were lies. So that really just, for me, it makes me build a wall between me and my biological family, where I don't trust them, because it's like, you guys you know, speak about lies, and y'all look down on people for lying, and y'all like to throw stones at people for lying, when you all are living lies yourself, and you're lying to yourself, and you're lying to everybody else about you lying to yourself. So, you know, for me, I just kind of like built a wall, and I was just like, I would love them from afar off. And I don't say that all, you know, in a bad way, because again, they were raised the same way. They were raised in the same mentality to believe those things, and they were taught these things. So some just decided that they're not going to try to find out on their own, or this is how I was raised, this is what I was taught to believe, this is the way I was taught to believe, and I'm just going to stick with it because it's easier and it's more comfortable to do that than to go back and you have to face the reality of that. A lot of stuff that you was probably good 60% of the things that you were taught are lies. You know, that's a real hard reality for anybody to face, and most people prefer not to even face that. So, you know, they don't want to take that risk of, well, suppose I go and I finally, you know, start believing the real truth, and then it doesn't, and I risk these relationships that I already have established with other family members or with friends, and you know, that have the same belief system as me, and they talk the same as me, and you know, we're unified, you know, and we're strong and we're united. Do I want to take the risk of ruining that relationship and that bond that I have with them, you know, to face reality, to face the truth? So that is a big risk in personal relationships, because you know, it is really hard to do that. And I'm going to tell you, it was so hard for me to accept a lot of things as I grew up and I started learning new things. It was really hard for me to accept it, because to me, it didn't make sense why, you know, I would be taught these things, and why I would be told these things when it was clearly and obvious that they were complete lies. Like, why would they want to teach me these things? Why would they want to tell me these things? So for me, it was really hard pill for me to swallow, and it was really hard for me to accept. And so, you know, I went through a lot with that psychologically and spiritually and mentally and emotionally. And you know, people don't want to take the risk of dealing with that, because it may be too much for them to manage psychologically. It may overtake them and overshadow them, so they don't want to take that risk of that happening. And then some of them don't want to take that risk because, again, like schizophrenia, it may affect their relationship that they've already have established with other family members or close friends of the family. You know, it changes the whole dynamic of things, and a lot of people are not willing to take that risk. So that's what I mean by risk with you know, with personal. So that's just an example, and you know, there's many more examples, but I could give that personally from my experience. Risk factor with relationships. Say for instance, you've been in a relationship with someone for a while, for several years, and then all of a sudden this person starts treating you wrong. They start doing things that is very disrespectful and disruptive to the relationship, and then say you guys broke up, and you know, now this person realized they messed up. They want to come back to you. They're apologizing and they're acknowledging their faults and what they did, and they're saying they changed for the better and this, that, and the other. You know, do you want to take that risk of taking them back to, you know, 3-4 plus years down the line, they end up doing the same thing? Because you got to remember, when you was in a relationship with them, I'll just say hypothetically you was in a relationship with someone for 10 years or married to someone for 10 years. And I would say within the 6th year of you all being married, being together, this person's attitude started changing. They decide they want to start cheating on you. They want to start lying to you. They want to start abusing you. They decide they want to start doing these things to you. And the thing is, it took all of that time, all of those years for this person suddenly change. So who's to say that several years down the line or a few years down the line, if you took them back, that they won't turn back around and do the same thing further on down the line into the relationship or the marriage? So do you take those risks? You know, do you want to risk going back through that heartache and that heartbreak with that person again? And to be honest, you still would take a risk even if you did not get back with that person, because people have the tendency to change out the blue for no reason, or because maybe the finances are different, or maybe you became too sick. And that's something that happened with me with my previous relationship. I became too sick, and you know, this individual was listening to what everybody else had to say about me, who don't even really know me. They think they know me, but they don't know me. And he decided that he wanted to listen to them. And when he was the one that was going to the doctor's appointments with me, he knew, he spoke with my doctors already let him know this is what she's facing, this is what she's up against, this could change her life, this is what it can cause, you know, she may not be able to do this again, do that. He knows these things, but yeah, still he got gung-ho on, you know, money became his God, and then listening to everybody else's point of view and completely ignoring how I felt about the situation, my point of view, and how it would affect me. He didn't care about none of that. It was what everybody else wanted. So with that, he decided he wanted to step out of a relationship of several times, not even just a few times, several times. And it just got to the point where, you know, do I take a risk of staying in this relationship and hoping that he would change and that things will get better, or do I just continue to, you know, and stay in this relationship and continue to deal with this kind of hurt and disrespect and disregard, or do I take a risk of just walking away since the person is definitely not here in a relationship with me? They're completely absent from the relationship with me, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, everything just completely shut down. Just like a body being there. It's just like having a mannequin. Imagine you're having a mannequin and you're trying to have a conversation with a mannequin, and you know, there's no feelings there, there's nothing, it's just emptiness. And so do I want to take a chance or risk or stand with this person knowing that this is they've become like a mannequin towards me, or do I, you know, let them go and, you know, start off from scratch, you know, and even starting off from scratch with someone brand new, who's to say that that person several years down the line won't turn around and do this to me or whatever, you know. So everything is about risk. We take risks every single day. So do you allow those risks to cripple you and to make you fear enjoying your life and fear taking more risk, or taking, you know, certain risks, you know, deliberately, or, you know, or do you just try your best to avoid certain risks, you know, because there are certain things we can avoid risking, you know. Like in a relationship, we don't have to be with somebody, you know, you don't have to take a risk of getting married again, you don't have to take a risk of being in a relationship again. But then the flip side of that, now you take the risk of being lonely, you take the risk of not having that family dynamic that you desire in that life. Are you going to be completely satisfied with that? Are you going to be regrettable of that once you become older? So, you know, there's a lot of risks that we take on in so many different ways, in so many different facets that we don't even realize that we're risking. We take risks every single day. Okay, so we're going to move to now jobs, careers, endeavors, risk. Say for instance, you go to school, so you get this bachelor's degree in engineering, and you know, there's no job opening that you could find for engineering. So, you know, you still end up landing a really good paying job. Say this job is paying you almost $200,000 a year. You're comfortable, you settle, you know, things are running smoothly for you. Now all of a sudden you get this opportunity that comes up that, say for instance, they don't want to start you off right away with that salary until, you know, maybe a year later or what have you, and they say, you know, after a year, you know, your salary will almost double what you were making before. So the thing is, do you take the risk of going to this other job, or do you stay where you're at, where you know that you have consistency, where you've had stability, where you've had where things has been promising, and you know, you haven't had any issues on this job, you know, you get along well with your superiors love you, your co-workers love you, it's like everything is just good. Do you take a risk of leaving that job to go and finally work in an engineering field in the schooling that you study and that you have this bachelor's degree in? Do you take that risk, or do you stay where you're grounded at so far and where you've become planted in, even though you know that you can make twice your salary? Do you take the risk of how you know that moving to that job is going to be as satisfactory as the job that you're on now? Will you still have that same favor? Would you still have that same vibe, that connection with your superior, with your co-workers and colleagues? Will things still be the same, or will it be different? So what do you do in that situation? Do you continue? Do you take a risk, or do you say no, everything is going good, if it's not broke, nothing to fix? So that's a risk in career, that people face sometimes, even with going to school. You could have two very good interests, things that you're passionate about. You may be passionate about becoming a nurse, but then again, you may be passionate about becoming a fashion designer. Which one do you take? Would you embark on first? You can eventually do both, especially with fashion designing. You can actually do that independently and stuff. But I noticed that sometimes when people go to school, they have more leverage than people who just step out independently. Well, nowadays it's not. You don't even have to really have a degree in fashion or anything like that. If you're good and you're skillful and people love your work and your design skill, support you and back you up. But when it comes to nursing, you must go to school. There's no shortcut with that. So which one do you take? Do you still go to school for nursing and then do your fashion on the side as something to have as an independent entrepreneur gig or career on the side of your nursing career, or do you just stay focused on one or the other? So that's a risk as well, because then sometimes with fashion, for you to really launch like you want to, sometimes you have to go to uproot your family or your life from where you're currently at and move somewhere else where you will have more connections, where you can get more connections, where you'll be able to explore more options and expand your fashion career. So do you take that kind of risk? So it's just so many different things when it comes to risk, and it's something that we do every single day. This is another risk. It's called, I like to just call this livelihood risk. Livelihood risk is, we can sit in your home. You can sit in your home. You can be sleeping in your bed and stray bullets can come through your wall and pierce you and kill you. We've heard news reports of it happening to people before. So every single day is a risk, from when you wake up in the morning, even before you wake up, while you're sleeping. There's so much stuff that could be going on the outside that you have no idea, no clue is going on, that you take a risk and gamble in. So how do you cope with that? No, you can't walk around in fear. I'm not saying that. Definitely, please don't do that. You drive yourself crazy. But I'm just saying, when it comes to risk, do we realize that we take risks every single day and pretty much every moment of the day, but we're not dwelling on it and we're not thinking about it being a risk? So we don't, it's like we just go on with our life as usual, and we don't take any thought to certain things, because we're not, our senses are not high of the risks that are involved with our everyday livelihood and everyday living, everyday routines and things. We never know. We get on the highway, we could be heading to work. Anything could happen. It could be a bad car accident, we could be involved in. It could paralyze us, or it could kill us, or it could just shake us up so badly, or and it make us more alert, make us be more appreciative of what we have, humble us a little bit more, so every single day is a risk factor. Shoot, with this coronavirus going on, just touching anything these days, you can't even really just put your hand on doorknobs or go to restaurants, because people like to cough in their hands. So you got people that like to cough and they don't cover their mouth. Even if you're getting in the car doing ride share, you got people that are cough and stuff and don't cover their mouths, whether it's the driver or their ride share or passengers, and they get all of these germs just circulating in the vehicle. So everything is such a risk these days. Like really, we're literally living in a risque world. Everything is a freaking risk. Oh my gosh, risk. You know, but you know, you still just continue to live your life. You enjoy your life. You enjoy each other. You enjoy your family. You enjoy your friends. You know, you just don't dwell on the risk. You know, you be like, okay, it is what it is. You know, if it's meant to be, whatever is meant to be will happen. But sometimes there's things that we have to do to make things happen. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, I want to be rich, or I want to be this, I want to be that. But what are they doing? Like, what risk are you taking to make that happen? And just because it's a risk doesn't mean it's a bad risk. All risks are not bad. A lot of risks are actually really good risks. You know, because it's to better yourself, to better your careers, to better your family unit, to better, you know, your education and your experiences and things. So, you know, it can be a good thing. Most risks are really good and positive. There's not too many risks that are bad. Most bad risks are usually when we put ourselves in those kind of situations intentionally, or we be negligent, or you know, and reckless. Those are where we find ourselves with the high negative risk. But it's not a high negative risk to just get up and go out your door. You know, that's not a high negative risk. And the reason why I say that is because every time you walk out your door, you don't have people standing out there trying to fight you or gang bang, unless you're in Chicago or someplace like that where gang activities on a massive scale. You know, that's a different story, and it's really sad, and I don't understand why the governor of Illinois won't just do more. It's just saying like they just want that title, but they're not doing more to eliminate those situations, you know, the gang violence there. But yeah, just give me your opinion, your 2 cents about risk. I mean, there's so many different risks. Let me know. Please share in the comments your risk, any kind of risk that you have taken, for whether it's for the good or for the bad, and how it turned out for you, because we never know who may be looking, who may be reading. You may be able to inspire someone, you may be able to encourage someone, you may be able to help someone make a better decision, a better choice with certain things or certain situations that they may be in, or circumstances that they're facing. Just share, please share your point of view, and I really do appreciate you for taking out the time to watch Hola Me. Thank you so much. With your best wishes to you. But give me your feedback, and you know, just let me know what you think. Give me your point of view of risk, what you think about risk, and how it can affect, or how it do affect everyday life for people, or even for yourself. Okay, so make sure you follow me too on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that chaz, everything, all that chaz. The only thing that's not all that chaz is my lupus. My lupus advocacy work actually is for chronic illnesses and diseases and disabilities that I do advocacy work for. I'm trying to get a support bill passed now, support act bill for those with chronic illnesses and diseases and disabilities, and that's on lupus invisibilities. With my Gloves On campaign, I also have a group on Facebook called Gloves On Campaign. So you can learn so much about what I do and my advocacy work for chronic diseases and illnesses and disabilities. I please need your support. Make sure you click on the link that's going to be in the description to sign my petition. Please sign my petition so that in hopes to get this support act passed for those of us living with chronic illnesses and diseases and disabilities, and me personally experiences those myself. I suffer and battle chronic diseases and illnesses and disabilities on a daily basis, even though I don't look it. But when they flare up, you'll know, and you'll be like, oh, okay. Look at some of my previous videos. You'll see where I've swollen up, where I've, you know, I look totally different because of the flare-ups and the swelling. So Yeah, but again, thank you guys so much for your support, for your love, and I really appreciate you all. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day and life. God bless, one love, and I wish you all the blessings and all your dreams and endeavors to come true. I wish you much success in life, much success in your family, your relationship with your children, with your supervisor, with your career goals, endeavors, and just everything. And, you know, just wish you all the very best, the best, the best of the best of the best of the best. God bless, one love, peace. Mwah.